Welcome back to my car. I just finished spending this beautiful sunny morning inside of my house watching Professional League of Legends for 5 hours. Both 2-0 matches of the Swiss stage of Day 3 of 2024 Worlds just wrapped up, and let's go over them. I got my predictions perfect today, both series correct, and their scores, so I'm just a prophet, and you should probably bet all your money on anything I say because I am reliable and trustworthy. Anyways, let's get into it. First match of the day was DK versus LNG. Before we get into individual game breakdowns, LNG just wins this 2-0. They looked like the better team through and through. There were some drafting decisions made by certain humans that are involved with the DK roster, and we'll get into that. But overall, LNG looked like a really strong team, actually. The addition of Scout as that late replacement is looking nice. It's looking nice. They're looking like beasts. And yeah, let's get into it. So game one, I didn't write many notes on because I was in my bed watching because it was like 8 a.m. and I stayed up till 3. I saw an Olaf counter pick. I didn't like it the second I saw it, and then it got solo killed at like level 5 and did nothing. It was disgusting. That champion, dude, what are you doing? Come on. That was gross. And Silas out of Chovy, Scout into the Alistar. It looked great. He looked awesome on that. Completely ripping them apart. Gala also looked amazing. They even managed to beat a Smolder, which actually happened multiple times today because it's not Yone. Yeah. It was really just a complete shredding. There's not much to even go into really with what DK did because everything they did was just worse than what LNG did. LNG looked so much better prepared for everything that came. And that continued into game 2 where Kingen needs to go scam some NA team for a $5 million contract because this guy... That was gross. This guy, what was it, 060 Cassante at one point? And we saw this Ari Vi that never did any sort of, I don't know if Vi came and pressed R mid once. I don't know if we were blowing summoners. It just felt really lackluster, but I don't know. When you see Chovy Ari in the next series 3 times, maybe it just puts a bad taste in your mouth, but I had a bad taste before I even saw it. So yeah, LNG almost kind of griefed a little bit. They did get the soul at the soul fight. They lost horribly. But they recovered nicely after. And honestly, DK just threw away a great early game in this game too. Ziggs was doing his thing, took first turret, was knocking stuff down, getting a lot of money, but then it's like, oh, oopsies, we gave kills to the other AD carry, and all your lead is useless now. And yeah, have fun dying. And that's what happened. He died. And we'll also get... Okay, I'm reading more of the notes. This draft was terrible. This was the 0 attack damage at all into a Galio. Nightmare, terrible, disgusting. This 6k up Camille, literally was in the middle of their team for 10 seconds and getting full CC'd and not dying. If they have any AD damage, that character is not that ahead and disgusting, honestly. My thoughts on Damwon after this, I don't know, man. This team, you look at it, they got to this point by beating Fnatic and FlyQuest, and it kind of shows. I don't know that they qualify at all. They need the right matchup for them, and I think G2 beats them. I don't know who else they could really get lucky enough to play since they already played, especially in the next round, they already played Fly and Fnatic, so we'll see what happens to them. But either way, this was a complete stomp, 36 and 39 minutes. LNG on its way to quarterfinals, and they look good. They look really, really good. This is not some, number 3 seed. It just loses to everyone else. They're looking like beasts. And also, why isn't Damwon drafting Yone? It was unbanned. What's going on? Well, it wasn't unbanned, but they were banning it on, blue side. Just not picking it. It was completely absurd. I don't know. But let's get into the real fun one today. HLE versus Gen G. Absolute banger series. Gen G does take it 2-1, as I said. HLE winning the game 1, and then Gen G doing the reverse sweep, which is not as impressive in a best of 3, but So game 1, Aurora got through all 3 games, and I believe the same top side for Gen G, Aurora, Nocturne, Ahri, all 3 games with just the bot lane slight alterations. This was the game that HLE got Yone, so they just won off of that, I'll be honest. We saw a lot of Varus the series, 2 games of it, I think, and I don't know. It's not doing what I thought it did. I haven't been as impressed. Ashe had no presence today at all. I think there was 1 Jhin. So it looks like it's moved away from that a little bit. We saw more of that Kalista, just wanting more damage in general. And we'll get to the Twitch in game 3. But yeah, so let's just go through the game. It's more detailed on this one. So it was a pretty boring game. It's like 9 minutes, 0 kills. And then you just realize that Pays just has a target on his back with his HLE team. Delight is an absolute monster. He carries his HLE team. Not in a bad way, but he just does. He's an absolute beast. He put the team on his back for getting to Pays, who's the main carry to deal with. So yeah, Gen G did look good in this game. They were getting kills. They even got a Baron, and it was just really close. They just looked a little better throughout. Delight obviously playing well as well. It really felt like as long as Gen G wasn't getting put in big fights, they couldn't lose. And then they had a big fight just out of nowhere. HLE loses Peanut, but then a massive Rel Yone combo just wipes out 4 people in a second, and like 8k damage between Zeka and Viper in that fight. Just masterclass engage, shades of SKT against EDG, just without the 10k gold lead. And after that, Kai'Sa was just like crazy fed, and then they just blew them out at the Drake 5-0, just wiped them off the face of the earth and out team fought them brutally. And that was the end of the game. So HLE was up 1-0, but I still had the feeling of like, man, there was a Yone in that game. Like, how is that allowed? So game 2, no Yone. We got the Zeka Akali though, which was cool. Certainly not a Yone in the end, but yeah. So after that, it was a good Jhin game from Gen G. I really liked that. No, wait. I'm sorry, I misspelled that. Viper had the Jhin. It was a good game for a lot of squishies in that game. There were not very many tanks played in this series outside of supports. So, yeah. And Gen G they looked really methodical in this one. They did this in both game 2 and game 3. They got 5 to 6 grubs and both dragons in the early game. They looked really, really in control. And then there were some fights. Gen G gets first blood at 13 minutes and HLE 3-1s them back. Also, shout out Gen G's coach. His face is hilarious to watch. He just makes the goofiest faces watching his team. And yeah, so this just turned into Gen G like kind of grinding small advantages everywhere. I mean, it was 3-3 in kills at 22 minutes. And then there was a small fight when you realize that Gen G just had to target Rel basically as the only tank can engage. And once that happened, I mean, HLE couldn't do anything. So that's what happened. And that's how they got Soul Point secured by 1 pick on the support. Just blew it all up. And then a 3-2 Gen G fight by the Baron. About 26 minutes. They get up about 4k gold. And then they just blow them out in like 3 more team fights. 4-1, 4-0, 5-0. Just methodically wipe them out while just not having the keys to end the game every time and eventually end the game. It was pretty stompy after it opened up, but a competitive early game for the most part. But it felt like the macro was on the Gen G side and the fights were on HLE's side, which is a theme I felt a lot in this series until game 3. So we got the Smolder for HLE in this game. The Varus, it needed that Renata to play well. It was another, Delight needs to be on it. There was a lot of stuff coming that Varus's way that I wouldn't want to be on the end of with Nocturne and Twitch. Speaking of Twitch, there's a Twitch in this game, and it's with Nocturne, and I really like that. You're playing into 3.5 squishies here, depending on what state Nar's in, and it looked good, and we'll get to that. So we did some lane swaps, and Keen made a terrible teleport down bot and just died, and they did a 2-for-1 bot dive, and good dive by HLE. They juggled aggro really well for all that, but didn't end up mattering too much because Canyon got all 6 grubs and the first dragon and killed Varus because he was so ahead from the early jungle plays that happened when HLE did the dive. He was level 6 earlier, so there was basically a free bot gank because level 5 Sejuani just sat there doing nothing. Didn't have the R button, and you need that one. So I was thinking a lot through this game, is it going to be the Smolder versus the Twitch? I really was. I was like, is it, old school or new school? Happy to see it's old school. Twitch is a late game king. So yeah, there was some scraps, a 2-2 team fight up by the Rift Herald Grub area. But Twitch ends up 3-0 after that fight, and all the advantage accrued by that Varus from those early kills is kind of wiped out. And that feels pretty bad when you're on lethality Varus going into team fights. So yeah, Twitch Nocturne just started ripping people apart. I mean, it looked so easy. Twitch needs to get 4 auto attacks off once Runans was done, and it just felt like the game was over immediately. Well, not the game, but the fights. And it was just so methodically played. And yeah, they did that a few times, just wiped them out. Pays played absolutely amazing. what can you do if you're HLE? You just, I'm sorry, I got a little off track here. Oh, it's because I wrote all my stuff in the wrong order. Anyways, so yeah, soul point off of the Quadra from Chovy's Ahri, 4-0 team fight. Then Pays does die at one point, but you just saw how much damage he did in that fight in like 3 seconds, and it just felt like even with Smolder making it look close, and they like easily denied soul, eventually Gen G just blew them out at the Baron Pit, unofficially aced them, and then Infernal Soul. And yeah, pretty much Twitch just one-shot everyone after the Infernal Soul, and that was the game. Some just general thoughts after that. Varus hasn't looked as good as I thought he would. I'd like to see teams maybe not entertain that pick as much and maybe stick towards more of that carry route. Or at least, if you're going to play something that has a play pattern like Varus, like an Ashe. I like the Ashe a little better. Equal immobility, but kind of does the CC better and kind of is more inclined to go a DPS build, which seems to be pretty important. And Twitch is the late game king, and Delight is an absolute beast. He's a support you actually need to target first in fights because he's that important to his team. And yeah, that was great. Those were great games today. I really enjoyed the last series, as I'm sure everyone did. And I will see you in the prediction video that should be coming pretty soon after this. Stay tuned and subscribe.